do throw a fit, and I throw hands. So,
which, yeah, that makes sense. Which it's completely. I don't know. I'm sure Freud would have a just an absolute field day with that statement.
well,
and,
I mean,
and the whole thing in particular.
Freud also was like a horrific, very troubling sexual deviant, and
he was just really close to his mom.
really close to his mom.
And everybody else's mom.
Yeah, he. Oof.
He's
I mean, like
philosophical Zach Wilson.
He was like, people like to say that, he's like the father of modern psychology, but the reality is that modern psychology has actually rejected almost every single thing he ever said completely.
Yeah, but how does that make you feel?
Tell me about your mother.
Okay. In Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Freud might have actually been right.
What I love in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is when he goes to analyze Bill, and Bill's like, "Oh no, don't worry about it. I just have him. I don't have that much wrong with me. Just a minor Oedipal complex." And they just glaze over it and move on.
Yes.
They don't even acknowledge that he just said that. Remember when I asked your stepmom to prom? Shut up, Ted.
That's disturbing.
Yeah, just, don't worry about me. Just a minor Oedipal complex. And then they just
which is funny because at our age, like technically we're old enough for our kids' friends' moms, but we're also degenerate enough for our kids' friends.
Well, I mean, not my kids' friends.
Not your kids, because your kids are still too young. But my kids are 23.
Yeah.
Oh, and my daughter works in a hospital with a bunch of nurses.
You have no idea, like, if I'm like looking at Tinder, how much I laugh when I see the chicks that are like 21, 22. They're like old enough to date you or your dad. And I'm like, no, just me. No. I'm the dad.
Freud would have something to say about that one too.
I probably.
Yes. The chat has not commented on that at all.
Because the chat's all fucking dudes right now.
Yeah.
Who are all about the same age. And we're all going, I mean.
Yeah, Jack, I can't say that one out loud.
Hey, Jack, we no one was waiting on me. We were waiting on all of you.
Yes. Okay. Hold on. Andrew was on StreamYard before I was. Yes, it is miraculous. Write that down. December 12th or November 12th, 2023. The day that will live in infamy.
It will live in infamy for a couple of reasons, actually, but we'll get to that.
Yes, girls that work as cashiers in retail are absolute danger zones. Like the hot crazy matrix. Yes.
Oh, and waitresses,
baristas.
Mm-hmm. Yep, baristas are real bad. Yep. Bartenders occasionally here in town because I live in a college town, so bartenders.
Yes. We won't tell bartender stories.
There's a bartender here in town. She's freaking awesome because she's just the most sarcastic, just does not give a fuck about anything that anyone has to say person. And she's just so cool. Like, you are my favorite bartender. You just hate everything, and it's great.
Yeah. Speaking of that kind of person, did you see the thing about Kat Von D?
Yeah, I did, and I am still kind of in awe.
A little shook.
Yeah.
A little shook, but it's also a very powerful statement. Like, she moved to like Iowa or Nebraska or some shit, right? Middle of fucking Missouri, maybe. Whatever, one of those states that doesn't really exist. And then like I don't know, like 6 or 8 months after that, she comes out as Christian. And then it's been like a year now, and she's blacking out her tattoos. And now she comes out and says that the reason that she left LA was because of the Antifa and BLM violence. She said it was much worse on the ground than what they showed on TV.
I believe it.
Yeah. No.
That's, I mean, blacking out her tattoos. I don't know about
Well,
that.
it's like,
but
well, I mean, she's
like,
got a lot of like demons and pentagrams and things like that, and she's now like she's baptized. She's a converted Christian. So I understand it.
yeah.
Still shook because her tattoos were just fantastic artwork.
Oh yeah, they're really really good. But I mean, there's a huge portion of the Christian population in America who think that tattoos are evil and blah blah blah.
The beast.
And well, they'll point to a verse in Leviticus that says, "Don't put tattoo marks on yourself, for the dead is they who have no hope." However, whenever they try to throw that at me, I like to point out that literally the very next verse says not to trim the sides of your beard.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
I can't help but notice most of
women
the
have to have to cover their hair, and you can't eat fish on Fridays, and yeah.
Well, that's the not eating fish on Fridays is just some weird Catholic dogma that has no bearing on the Bible whatsoever. But the like the what's interesting though is like you'll notice that the guys who always try and tell you that, right? Like at least in my experience, having gone to a Christian school and volunteering at back in high school at Christian Christian like Harbor Youth Camp and stuff, like having done that, the guys who are always super anti like tattoo and like go on and on about how you shouldn't have tattoos always have goatees. Yeah. And I'm always just like, you notice that the very next verse, not 2 verses later, not a book later. No. The very next verse says that what you're doing by having a goatee is wrong too. You know why you don't obey it? Because it's Levitical law, which was fulfilled already, and you don't have to worry about it. So knock it off with your dogma.
Yes. I don't know. I forgot where I was going to go with that. You want to start the show?
It's still weird. It's weird to consider like there's a member of Korn who's a baptized converted Christian. Kat Von D is a baptized converted Christian.
The Pope just came out and said that LGBT trans people can get baptized.
Well, I mean, woman rides the beast, and that woman shall be known as a city on 7 hills. That's all I'm going to point out. Yes. There's only one city in 7 hills.
Yes. All right, you want to start the show? We have enough.
Yeah, I think we got enough people actually paying attention now.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to another fantastic-ish episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable Discussion. Before we get started, even though we already started, so like you can use everything before now, whatever you want, but afterwards we are covered by the BIPCOT no government license, which allows for the use of the reuse of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That's BIPCOT.org. We're also covered by Brandenburg v. Ohio in 1969, which ruled that the government cannot punish inflammatory speech unless that speech is, quote, directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Therefore, everything said here on Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable Discussion is entirely hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
This is episode 233, and we're going to be talking about sperm whales blowing up and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Do we want to open with that?
I mean, I kind of want to. I mean, at this point,
it's historical, and it has a cult folk following. So I think we really have to.
I think my favorite photo of it too is the car that was like crushed.
Yes,
by
the piece.
Yeah, it's just. It is so historically a terrible idea. I love it so much.
Okay. So if you don't know what we're Ocean's Money Shot. Jesus, Jason. Okay. So On this day, so this is November 12th. On this day in 1970, so this is 53 years ago, in Florence, Oregon, the Oregon Department of Highways
Yeah. So
blew up a whale.
Yeah. So it washed up on the beach on November 9th. And it was 45 feet long, 8 tons,
8 tons
of rotting carcass of a sperm whale.
You know, and what it's one of those stories that is so bizarre that people think it's fake, and you actually have to show them the video for them to really believe it. And once you see the video, you're traumatized. It's over.
Yeah, you're just like, and the stills of the video where there's actually like you can. Okay, so yeah, at the time the beach is managed by the State Highway Division for Oregon, and they decide in their infinite government employee wisdom that the most efficient way to remove this giant 8-ton rotting whale carcass
is to blow it up.
Half a ton of dynamite underneath it
and inside of it.
Yeah, and that's how they're gonna. Now, I don't know if you know how explosions work.
Well, that's what the article says. It says, oh, you know, they're used to treating things. You know, they're used to blowing things up to get the highway through, right? To get tunnels through, right? So they're used to blowing up rocks, and their thought was, oh, it's an 8-ton rotting whale corpse. Let's just blow it up.
It's so like, okay, nowadays most people would like think like, hey, no, because that isn't going to work because like we've dealt with the Middle East, but so we know how explosives and flesh together work, right? So they turn this thing into a jihadi whale and proceed to mist it, except it doesn't mist because it's 8 tons of whale. So
okay, so the article on October 9, 1970, a 45-foot, 8-ton dead sperm whale washed up on the shore of coastal town Florence, Oregon. It was huge, it was stinky, and it needed to be gone yesterday. Back then, the coast was managed by the State Highway Division, and an agency officials figured the best way to get rid of the immovable mammal was by blowing it up with half a ton of dynamite. They thought the thought was that the highway officials would remove the whale the same way they removed any large obstruction. Quote, they were going to remove it like it was a big boulder on the highway. They were going to blow the whale to pieces out towards the sea. The fish and the seagulls would eat most of it.
Except that's not how dynamite works.
Shh. The plan was a spectacular failure, and it didn't help that the highway engineers didn't provide a countdown for the detonation on the afternoon of Thursday 12th. Quote, all of a sudden there was this 100-foot geyser of blood, blubber, and sand going into the sky. It was like a blubber snowstorm with tiny particles of blubber floating down after big chunks.
One of the chunks was so large. It smashed a car, a 70s car.
We'll get there. Okay. There were a few dozen spectators and reporters who came to watch the blast from what they thought was a safe quarter-mile distance away begin screaming and running away.
That's not far enough from half a ton of dynamite.
But how do you run away from stinky blubber rain? Luckily, no one reported any explosion-related injuries, but one car did get its roof smashed in by a 3-foot chunk of whale that fell from the sky. The worst part, according to this reporter, was the smell. It lingered with the onlookers for days. Quote, people were retching. It stuck to your clothes and everything.
Well, if you've ever been near anything that's been dead for a while, right, and is rotting, you know that
it's
that
the microscopic
smell of death
gets into the pore. Oh,
yeah, it just sticks to you. It just sticks to you. It's so hard to get rid of, right? It's so hard to get rid of,
bro.
And it is now, instead of, oh God, why even no,
damn it, Schultz.
No, But if you're listening, go watch the chat on YouTube, and then you too can be horrified and traumatized forever.
You don't want to.
But like it, so it's already going. If you're anywhere near this thing, you're going to wind up with it stuck to you because it's like a greasy.
They were
thing.
a quarter mile away. Think about it, a quarter mile away. They were like 475 or 460 something yards away. A quarter mile. And it rained down on top of them like a stinky blubber rain.
And it's not just stinky blubber, it's stinky rotting blubber.
Rotting blubber, blood, sand.
Oh God, it's just the grossest thing you can imagine. Like of course the smell was everywhere now because you've now spread 45 feet and 8 tons of rotting biomass around town.
Yep. Hold on. This gets better. What might be the hardest part to believe in this story is that the engineer behind the blast, George Thornton, thought the effort was a success. Quote, "It was kind of funny because I interviewed," this is the reporter, "because I interviewed him afterward. And he said it went exactly right, except the dynamite cases funneled down into the sand and directed the explosion straight up."
Yeah, because it's sand.
It's safe to say that state officials learned their lesson from the historical event. State policy now is to bury, not blow up dead whales that end up on the beach. But wait,
I mean, he looked at it as a success because the idea was if we can turn it into, into chunks, then all of those chunks will rot much more quickly than one whole dead whale.
Yep.
And so in his mind, because he's an engineer and engineers are generally, I know this may surprise you, very autistic. In his mind, he was like, well, but I mean, it's in chunks now.
The engineers put the starter in the engine of the North Star motor. All right. I'm putting that out there.
Yeah. It's inside the bell housing of the transmission. There's not a cutout. There's not a little dent in the bell. No.
Okay. The legend of the flying whale bits is an enduring one. That's thanks in part to journalists like Bacon that did the story. And of course, plus the fine folks of Flores voted last year. So this is 2019 to commemorate the whole thing by naming its newest seaside park after the explosion. It is
Exploding Whale Memorial
Park.
Oh, when you make a decision that transparently terrible, you can do one of two things. You can try to pretend that it never happened, or just simply embrace the absurdity of life and go with it.
Exploding Whale Memorial Park.
Oh, it's just the dumbest. Of course it went like that, you moron. I love that photo of it because you can actually see the transition. Yeah, you can see the transition from red into like brown from the sand, and you know that the red is whale.
See, pink mist. See, it's not a small whale.
As a full-size sperm whale.
8 tons, right?
8 tons of rotting goo going everywhere. I mean, I personally think they should have called it the Jihadi Whale Memorial Park.
Oh, there's a picture of the car.
There we go. Yeah, that's like a full-on 70s car, and it was just absolutely crushed by this chunk of whale.
Yes. Okay, I have to go to that article. Whale of a deal. Man recalls how family's new car was crushed by blubber.
Oh, God, it was new? Oh, no.
A Dunham Oldsmobile. Or they bought the car new from Dunham Oldsmobile. Let's see. They were going to blow it up.
It was a 1970 Olds, and it was crushed like that. Like, those things were boom.
They used 20 cases of dynamite.
Half a ton. 1,000 pounds.
20 cases of dynamite.
1,000 pounds of dynamite. If you put 1,000 pounds of dynamite in, say, a house, the house has ceased to exist.
Quote, after they blew it up, everyone was watching in awe, and then 30 seconds later, blam, 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 then everyone's going, there's huge chunks of whale blubber getting thrown on us. So there's people running everywhere, scattering. There was whale blubber everywhere. Even the cameraman left his camera and went running. As it started coming down, it went boom. It almost bent the car in a V. My dad goes, my car.
Can you imagine this sequence of events? Oh, they're going to blow up the whale. This will be neat. Boom. Oh, God.
The state of Oregon.
My car.
The state of Oregon footed the bill to replace the family car and learned to never blow up a whale again.
Well, at least they learned their lesson.
That's so bad.
Not to blow whales up with dynamite.
Yeah.
I mean...
Oh, there's another picture of the car. What's left of it?
Oh, my God. It is just crushed.
Crushed.
Good God. Well, figure that was probably 3 foot piece of whale. We don't know how thick it was. I'm going to guess that was probably like 400 pounds falling from the sky.
Possibly.
But just the fact that no one like remembered a very simple thing that we learned in school, right? What goes up must come down. I'm gonna, just because you blew it up.
I'll drop that video or that photo in the Anarchy Monk Friends Telegram chat for you.
You guys want to see it, you can go to our Telegram and you can see the photo of a completely decimated 1970 olds Alehu Akwhale. Actually, I think it should be a whale who Akbar.
A whale who Akbar.
Akbar.
Oh, yes. Exploding Whale Park. It's in Florence, Oregon. If anyone ever goes, please send pictures.
Yes, please take pictures. Also, if you have a whale costume to wear to pose next to the sign, please do that.
Are you challenging me?
I would love to do. I'd love to do that personally. I would wear a whale outfit and then have somebody else wear like a high vis jacket and hard hat, carrying like fake dynamite, and then just like pose next to the sign.
Yep, we'll add it to the road trip to the PNW. Add it to the list.
If I ever decide that I really, really hate my life enough that I want to go to the Pacific Northwest, yeah.
We'll swing by on the way to Ruby Ridge. How about that?
Yeah, because Ruby Ridge historically is a great place that I want to go. Very uplifting place to visit. Yes. Ruby Ridge.
Yes. That was that poor car.
Just boom. And it was new. It's because it's one thing, right? It's one thing if a fucking 400-pound chunk of whale crushes like a 20-year-old shitbox. It's another when it is your brand new freaking car.
Hey, at least the state of the Oregon had to pay for it, which means they had to justify it, which means they had to explain to everyone that they used 20 cases of dynamite to blow up a dead whale.
It is. I think actually Derica has said that she has been to that beach.
Yes. I tagged her and a friend from the same city on Facebook when I posted this earlier. Yeah. She goes back every year. So yes.
So we need to start a Kickstarter to get Derica a whale costume and then get Kevin the high vis jacket and the hard hat and some fake dynamite so that they can do a photo.
I cannot repeat on YouTube what is going on in my head.
No. It's
no,
because then really, I mean, you think about it, technically, shouldn't Kevin be the one in the whale outfit because he's gonna anyway?
That's what was in my head. Yes.
Yep.
We want to talk about it equally hilarious situation, or do we want to get angry and then go to the hilarious situation?
I think we should get angry first. Now that we've been laughing, we should probably get angry. We gotta up down. You gotta take him on a roller coaster.
Roller coaster. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, how angry?
Oh God.
Because I only have one angry article.
Well,
that one's kind of neutral. That one is hilarious. That one is a win, and the other two are hilarious.
I mean, we want to ride the high. We certainly don't want to end on the low note like we did last time.
Like no. I have one that I'm saving for the end. I have one that's saving for the end. Let's continue on this high. QAnon Shaman Jacob Chansley, who served more than 2 years in prison for his role in the January 6th attack on Congress, now wants to run for Congress as a libertarian.
Because of course he does, because he's mentally unwell.
Yes, Jacob Chansley, who would like to return to the scene of his crime. Chansley rose to American infamy as the QAnon Shaman, beginning the face of the January 6, 2021 siege on the U.S. Capitol, which sent congressional lawmakers scrambling in fear for the exits. Now he thinks he might like to work in the building he attacked.
Well, he realized while he was there and observing carefully the red velvet ropes as he was on the spicy unguided tour that he actually might enjoy working there.
If you remember, like if you ever looked at the photos and video that I think Tucker released, he has security guards that are escorting him around. Like they escorted him to the chambers, and he took the famous photo on the speaker's podium. Yeah.
It boggles like anybody thinking like all these people like it was an insurrection. That is not an insurrection.
Go look at what's happening in Spain right now.
Look at what's happening in Spain. Look at even what's happening in France.
Currently. Yes. In France,
look at what keeps happening in France, to be honest. You want to see an insurrection? Boy, oh, I'm from Ireland. I can teach you a thing or two about insurrection.
Yes. Where now Ireland, where now 20% of the population are immigrants. Just put that out there. There's some old boys in the north that need to dust off a few things.
I mean, not that they ever collected dust because they've been manufacturing them new for a couple of decades, but
yes. Okay. Where Chansley is now considering to run for the U.S. Congress seat in 2024 election, representing his home state of Arizona. He recently filed his initial paperwork with Arizona Secretary of State's office, indicating that he planned to run as a libertarian for the state's 8th congressional district.
I mean, I hope that he wins. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I hope that he wins.
I just want to see him and John Fetterman try to have a conversation. I hope he wears the horns because they removed the dress code. Remember?
Yeah, they did. They removed the dress code. There's that lovely photo of Rand Paul in PJs.
Yes.
Just like, all right, we'll find then. But, first of all, having a dress code in Congress is utterly ridiculous, in my opinion, anyway. But
having Congress is utterly ridiculous.
Well, yeah. Not having Congress, but having the U.S. Congress is is utterly ridiculous. If you don't understand that joke, go ahead and look up the meaning of the word Congress. But having Congress is not ridiculous.
Apes together, stupid.
Having that Congress is ridiculous. But the idea of him showing up like even just like in a full suit, like a nice suit with the fucking buffalo thing on would be amazing.
Shows up on the floor with the face paint. Oh man. That's it. And he's planning to run as a libertarian. Let's get honest about the libertarian chances of ever making it to the federal level.
I mean, if anybody can, it's him. Number one.
Oh, that's
But
okay. I will give it that. I will give it that. If anyone can do it, it would be somebody like him. Because the person that the district Republican Representative Debbie Lesko now holds the seat for the district, which is made up of suburbs surrounding Phoenix. Lesko recently announced that she would retire in January instead of seeking re-election in 2024. So there is a chance for him to grab some of those more hardcore right-wing voters.
Yeah, which is why I say, like, if anybody could do it, it's somebody who has the kind of ultra celebrity status.
Yes.
That he has in particular with neocons.
Yes.
And if he can manage to pull it off, that would make him the first libertarian to pull it off. That guy.
That's true. I mean, the closest we have now is Thomas. He's not even a senator. He's in the House. Massey, Thomas Massey.
Yeah, I would say Thomas Massey. But the idea of him running is because I embrace absurdity in all forms, and
absurdity in government and Congress and the politicians is just extra.
It's just that much better. So like for me, it's just a level of absurdity that is so wonderful. Yeah. It's so wonderful.
And the memes we could get.
Oh, they're gonna be great. They're gonna be so good. Yes. Oh, they're gonna be absolutely fantastic. It's the people in the chat seem not to have looked up the word Congress. I'm talking about the act of Congress, okay? Not an act in Congress, act of Congress. It's a thing. It's a thing, guys. Think about it for just a second. Yes. You'll get it.
So the race is now won for her seat. Notable candidate thus far includes Blake Masters. You should know that name. Look it up. Who failed to cinch a seat in the Senate in 2022, and Abe Hamadeh, who lost the race to be Arizona's Attorney General the same year. So he has competition. So they're names that I recognize. One of the first rioters to breach the Capitol, Chansley issued an apology after pleading guilty to his crimes. He served 27 months behind bars in a 41-month sentence. Once released, he suggested he wanted to reverse his guilty plea. Though as a convicted felon, he can't vote. That doesn't prevent him from running for office.
Yep. Technically, a convicted felon can vote. As long as they are not on any kind of supervised release or anything like that. Like once they've served whatever prison sentence, blah, 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 they can actually vote. That's a myth that convicted felons can't vote. That was true, like I think up until the 90s, I want to say. But
yeah, I think it depends on the felony.
Yeah, there's certain ones, but generally you can't. Although he was convicted of like sedition or something, wasn't he?
I think it was trespassing, actually.
I will say though that like anybody who says that's a riot, like you see that in the news all the time.
A felony charge of obstructing an official proceeding.
Obstructing an official proceeding. That's what he was. Okay.
Woo.
But like what I think is hilarious is that the media keeps calling January 6th a riot, right? Like they followed the ropes and all of a sudden they riot, insurrection, riot. And yet when people are flipping cars and setting fire to buildings, it's mostly peaceful.
He served on the USS Kitty Hawk.
Really?
As a storekeeper seaman apprentice.
Huh. So he was a supply guy,
an assistant seaman. Apprentice.
An apprentice seaman.
An apprentice seaman.
Not a professional seaman, an apprentice seaman.
No, an apprentice seaman. Speaking of seaman, though.
I knew that's where you're going.
Demand for unvaxxed sperm spikes. Women are turning to shady Facebook groups looking for donors who refuse to get the COVID shot.
Did we not talk about this like way back, right? Way back, 2020.
We joked about it.
Yeah.
We joked about it. There's a lot of memes about it. We joked about it. But this is an article from the Daily Mail, November 5, 2023. So this is last week. It has screenshots from a Facebook group. Yes. Anti-vaccine sentiment has infected almost every part of America after the COVID pandemic, from academia to politics. But the anti-vax movement appears to have infiltrated the world of online sperm donations, where wannabe mothers seek out samples from men who refuse to take the COVID shot. Jonathan David Rendali, dubbed the Sperminator, was a prolific donor for years on Facebook group Sperm Donation USA, the largest sperm donation group in America.
Was he really dubbed Sperminator, or did he just start going, I'm the Sperminator, and long enough and loud enough until people started calling him that?
I don't want to know. I really don't want to know the answer to that question.
Like, I just want to point out, like, no one is dubbed the Sperminator.
If he can't dent in the roof of a brand new 1970s car, I don't want to know.
like that's one of those, like, when guys like, yeah, they call me DP. No one calls you DP. You're the one who calls you DP. No one else does that.
Yes.
Like,
but after seeing the quote massive increase in requests for sperm from unvaccinated donors, he broke off and started his own splinter group exclusively for the anti-vax. So he started a Facebook page. Oh, come on, you stupid pop-up ads. I am going to have a fit. The group has almost 250 members and has helped many people successfully start families. The members range from young professionals to gay couples to single women, both in the US and the UK. Most offer their sperm for free. The Center for Disease Prevention, blah, 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 there's no evidence that COVID-19, blah, blah, who cares about that?
Of course they have. We all know they have, and they're liars. So anyway.
Yes. Mr. Rinaldi told the Daily Mail, quote, I don't trust big government and big pharma. I don't trust them. I don't need to inject myself with things that I don't even know what is in it.
Amen, sir.
Yes. So, but yes, there is apparently a Facebook group with women searching for sperm donors with, quote, no COVID vax on their posts.
They do seem to, a lot of them, say artificial insemination method only. And
yeah,
I gotta say that
one message says any donors in the Alabama/surrounding area, no COVID shot, STD free, and blue eyes. Artificial intelligence method only. My wife and I are looking into our family, and I hope someone finds someone that favors her looks. Okay, it's just that's a thing. And we joked about it. We joked about it before.
Dude, we joked so hard about it in 2020. Like, it was a running joke about, like, oh, just give it time, and then all of these women are going to be looking for unvaxxed sperm, and like we're all going to have, you know, a gold mine.
This one is from New Jersey. It's a single mom of a 2-year-old looking to give her a sibling. This one is North Carolina, New York City. Let's see, where is this one from? I don't know. It doesn't say, but yeah. So this guy is from Forest Hills, New York. They began donating sperm when a lesbian friend of his asked if he would help her conceive a child. He now has 3 children with his ex-partner and 16 others conceived through sperm donations. So, yeah, that's a thing.
I mean, I will say that the artificial insemination only kind of ruins the fun.
You really trust big
sperm donation? Like, yeah,
you really trust big sperm bank?
Yeah, like you trust modern medicine that far, but like, come on, man.
You trust modern medicine to inseminate you with the sperm, but not to fuck with the sperm or to change the sperm.
Yeah, especially once they know what it is, you think that they're not going to do something. Like, come on, nah, we got to do this the old-fashioned way.
That's just you're a whore.
I mean, your husband can watch. I'm not totally opposed to that. Like, whatever, man. It's. I just don't want to have to make eye contact, or maybe I should make eye contact the whole time. I don't know.
Just it's just on the back on the TV on the background is just the sperm whale blowing up on loop.
I don't want it to be over that fast. Come on. Just like a fucking foreign student film that just cuts between the sperm whale blowing up and the QAnon shaman.
The QAnon shaman.
Yeah. And that like smiley dude in the mittens holding Nancy Pelosi's podium or lectern, and like it just keeps cutting between, and it's just like Alan Parsons project for the the soundtrack the entire time.
Just random inserts of Dr. Fauci's quotes.
Oh no, because as soon as I see Fauci, that's it. That's over. We're gonna have to try again later.
That's how you prolong it. I'm just saying. You're Irish. Come on, you can use all the help you can get.
Are you kidding me? We Irish breed like rabbits. Have you seen Irish families?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm the oldest of 16.
Yes.
So your parents didn't watch Letterman.
Yes. Or they did watch Letterman? Which is weird.
I'm not here to judge.
Yeah. Farm raised, not pharma raised.
Yep.
Yes. So
I mean, I will say that they go a little far. Like some of these, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. And then some of them are like, I don't want you to have had any vaccinations whatsoever. And I do understand science, and there are tried and true and tested vaccinations and inoculations that are perfectly safe and good for you to get, because that way you don't get the fucking disease. But
hey, I really hope it's someday to end up in a wheelchair because of a totally preventable disease that I could have got a shot for. Yeah, fantastic.
Like, have you seen that too? Like there's a resurgence. Like they're having to break iron lungs back out because people are like, oh, I don't trust that polio. You mean the vaccine that's been around for 100 years and has never made people sick? That one?
Hey, FDR allegedly did great things, and he was in a wheelchair because of polio.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. How angry do we want to get angry now? Now that we've come back down off that high, we're a little bit lower. Get angry now, or wait?
No, I mean we can get angry now. That's fine.
Or we can
we can keep laughing.
Or we can do the hidden article.
Let's do the hidden article.
Let's do the hidden article. Hidden article will bring us back up just a little bit, and then we can. Then I'll crash us with the angry one. Okay. Goose Fraba. Take a deep breath. I want to read this with a straight face. Okay. I'm just going to read the headline. I'll stop. Washington, D.C. gives residents free airtags to help track stolen cars.
Oh, we've just let go of any semblance of civilization or decorum at this point. Like, you'll be able to find it and get it back yourself. I'm sure it'll be fine.
The city of Washington, D.C. is planning to distribute free Apple AirTags to residents in some neighborhoods in the city as a way to make it easier for officers to track down stolen vehicles. Quote, last week we introduced legislation to address recent crime trends. This week we are equipping residents with technology that will allow MPD, that's Maryland Police Department, or Metropolitan Police Department, to address these crimes, recover vehicles, and hold people accountable. We have had success with similar programs that make it easier for the community and MPD to work together, from our private security camera initiative program to wheel lock distribution programs, and we will continue to use all the tools that we have and add new tools to keep our city safe. That is DC Mayor Muriel Bowser.
So just give us the ability to keep track of exactly where your car is at all times at will.
Yes.
So that when inevitably people steal it, because taxes are the price we pay for not living in a civilized society, when people ultimately steal it, that way it's just easier for us to track it down to the correct
don't forget, they will throw you in a cage if you do track down your stolen vehicle and try to take it back.
Mm-hmm.
That has been shown again and again and again. At launch, the airtags will be available to residents of specific areas of the city that have recently seized large increase in vehicle thefts. There's other ways to stop people from stealing vehicles. Number one, make the punishment for the crime so above and beyond that they don't risk it. Right? That should be rule number one. Number two,
I mean, that doesn't
allow
really
residents to fucking shoot people that are trying to steal their cars.
Now that one works real well. Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, I grew up in a city where car theft was so common.
Yeah, but you got it back. You just had to get a piece from over there and a piece from over there and a piece from over there, and that one was twisted from the explosion. But I mean, you could hammer it back into place.
Oh, you didn't get them back. They were burned out like every time. Because like what would happen is they'd steal them, drive them around for a day, and then park them at the end of a dead end road and torch them.
Yeah.
And if you tried to intervene, they'd stab you.
Oh, lovely.
So you know.
Hey, you never had a whale chunk fall on one though.
That is true. I mean, there was definitely chunks of other cars falling on them occasionally. Actually, no, not in that city. That was way further north. But I
got Lizzie's in a box playing in my head right now.
That's so great. But you know, the reality though is like I grew up like I was probably 12 years old before I realized you had to actually pay for cars.
Yeah.
You couldn't just go down to the corner and pick one up that's sitting there. Because their car theft was that common. And guess what? They finally cracked down on it and started really going after people, and it stopped.
Yeah.
You can actually park your car in Limerick now.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't do that in Washington D.C. I mean, punishing people that steal vehicles was like, assault on poverty or something.
Yeah, it's racist to
enforce
classist laws against.
It's classist. So this is from acting police chief Pamela Smith. She says, quote, "Our goal is not just to prevent carjackings and motor vehicle thefts, but also to ensure swift law enforcement action when these incidents occurs. These tracking devices allow our officers and detectives to be better positioned to quickly locate stolen vehicles, recover property, and gather vital evidence for investigations."
I know of somebody who used to work for LoJack, right? And they regularly had people activate their LoJack because their cars were stolen, and it would still be 2 or 3 days before the police would look into where the car was, even though that customer knew exactly where the car was.
Yes. We have it's well known what's happened in my city right now with the police department. Right? We have the city budgets for 110 officers. We currently have 47 because the rest of them are suspended because they all got busted in a racist text message chain. They're all on federal or state investigation. We have had a stolen vehicle sitting at the edge of the apartment complex. They dropped it off and took off running across the neighborhood into a different area of the neighborhood, and it has been up there for 2 weeks. It has like 3 red tags on it, and it is still sitting there. It has no license plates. It has red tags. One of the tires is completely disintegrated, sitting on the rim, and it is still sitting there.
Yep.
Putting an air tag on it would not change that.
Yeah, it's still going to be a stolen car. It's just sitting there forever
Mhm.
because
Yes.
nobody's going to come get it because
Mm.
it doesn't matter. Like the issue is, and like I feel like these politicians are intentionally have blinders on about this. It's not that they don't know where the cars are. It's that they
Mhm.
just don't care.
Yes, or they don't know. I try not to say this in a way that takes the wrong way, but um, they know who is doing this. They know the type of person that is doing this, right? The carjackings, the stolen cars. They know who is doing this largely, but they're appealing to those people by not actively trying to prevent this from happening, carjackings from happening.
Remember that dude, that kid who got capped a while back, and then his sister was like, "Well, how else was he going to get himself any school clothes if he doesn't rob people?"
Yeah, yeah,
Just gonna point out, we
yeah.
know the people, right? Like we know their socioeconomic background. We know all this stuff. We know the
Mhm.
people who are going to be doing this, and we know where carjackings tend to happen, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, because that's why they authorized in these specific areas where carjackings and car thefts are far higher. We know where it's going to happen. If you wanted to stop it, you could, one, arm the citizenry, and two, actually put law enforcement officers in places where laws
Mhm.
are regularly broken to enforce said laws.
Mhm.
But you're not going to do that. You're going to be like, here's this crappy little plastic thing
No,
that
because
you can hide in
they're
your car.
not going to do that, because every time one of those people gets shot, there's a riot now.
That's true.
Yes.
Well, unless those people that are getting shot are paler, and then somehow it's always justified
Yes.
in the minds of the people who should be protesting.
Now it's oh my god, he was shot. Was he pro Palestine or pro Israel?
Yeah. Right. Have you seen those videos from Israel of the peace the pro peace Hasidic Jews
Yes.
getting like just absolutely assaulted by the IDF?
Yeah, they're having riots at places like Harvard and Yale because of this now. Right, New York City, San Francisco. San Francisco had a pro Palestine rally, and a bunch of Jews showed up supporting Israel, and they got beat up in San Francisco.
Sounds about right.
Right? It's
Well, and the thing is like the media keeps
yeah.
portraying too, like the Hasidic Jews there that are getting attacked in Israel for the as being
Mhm.
pro-Palestinian, and they're not pro-Palestinian. That isn't what they were saying. What they were saying
Yeah.
is peace. They were saying
Yes.
just don't fight. We need to resolve this. There's no
Mhm.
reason we can't coexist. We need to stop this. This is ridiculous.
Yes.
And perhaps Israel maybe has brought some of this on themselves with their policies towards the Palestinians, and maybe consider that, there's only so far you can push a man before he decides to push back.
Yeah.
And that was all they were saying. That doesn't make them
There's a
pro-Palestinian.
Mujahideen lesson there, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
There's a lesson there. Um, it also works with it worked with the cartels in Mexico. It also worked with Iraq and Egypt. Um,
Shuck your law.
yeah, yeah, it worked with our lovely potato friends. I
Well,
mean, you
and
can.
keep in mind that the Ra has been very close with the PLO for a very, very long time.
Mhm.
There are literal the famous murals, the huge murals
Mhm.
up that are across Derry and Belfast and things. There are several of those that have a IRA fighter on one side and a PLO fighter on the
Mhm.
other side, shaking hands, and it says a shared cause, a homeland denied.
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot of that connection. Now that connection has largely died out recently because the provosts have kind of gone away and things, and also because it's just, as the PLO has gotten viciously fundamentalist, the Ra has been like, I don't know about that. So
I don't want to share my Lucky Charms with those people.
But they do under that. It's kind of the same kind of cause. And if you don't think it is, I encourage you to read up on the founding of Israel and read up on that and realize that it's not necessarily a natural thing. Now, that's not to say that Israel doesn't have a right to exist, right? Like right of conquest. They took it. End of story. They took it from you.
That's the same thing happening here in the United States, right? These the people, the carjackers, the people that are stealing these vehicles, the people that protest when a cop shoots someone, they're literally they're conquerors, right? They are.
I mean, every society, that isn't an anarchist society throughout history has attempted to deny the simple reality, the simple real fact that at the end of the day, the only right you have to anything is what you can keep.
Yes.
If you can't keep it, it ain't yours anymore because you couldn't keep it.
Yep.
Somebody took it from you. And if somebody took it from you and they can keep it, guess what? It's theirs now.
Yeah.
That is the core heart, that at its very core, that is the heart of everything right there. And the denial of that reality is why society is imploding. Right there.
I'm not going to comment on Charles.
I was going to say I licked it. It's mine.
I was going to say something, but yeah, I don't want to.
You know what's funny is, speaking of COVID, like we were a minute ago, during COVID, Lindsay was constantly threatening with people that were glaring at her for not wearing a mask that she was going to just start threatening to lick their faces. Yes. Keep looking at me like that, I'm going to lick your face.
There are people in society that would be into that, though.
I probably, yeah. But, the reality, though, ultimately is that where we're at now is where we've reached this point in society where people can just steal from whoever they want, and the authorities won't do anything about it. And so suddenly people are waking up to the base reality that you only own what you can keep. That is the only thing that is yours.
Again, going back to this area, to San Francisco, right, to the crime and homelessness, right? Jack London Square is almost empty. It's almost empty. There's almost no businesses in Jack London Square now, right? Downtown San Francisco is largely getting empty also. Oakland, there's major retailers that are leaving, Targets and Walgreens and CVS pharmacies and all these mom and pop shops are gone, right? And the solution is to sue the corporations that are leaving. That's what the city is doing. The city is trying to sue these corporations, these corporate entities, these corporate stores, these corporate pharmacies, for abandoning their neighborhoods.
Right? They're not stopping me.
Okay, hold on. Okay, and San Francisco recently. This is I've only seen one or two articles on it, but San Francisco has largely emptied the street of homeless people in the last 5 days. Miraculously, there's just a minuscule amount of homeless in San Francisco on the streets right now because they're having an international conference.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't it because Xi Jinping is going to be there?
There's international leaders coming to San Francisco, and then suddenly the streets are clean.
You know what? They did that for Xi Jinping, and what's funny is, you know what other country does things like that?
China.
China.
Yeah, Buckshot says time to move to the Midwest. No, I am Redoubt bound. If I could, Redoubt is my area. Idaho.
The Midwest,
Idaho or Western Montana.
the Midwest has been my home for God 16 years,
Yeah.
something like that, 17 years, 16 years. And I gotta say, like it will be hard to leave it, but if I can get to the Redoubt, I'm also going to the Redoubt.
That bar in that one small town I showed you before,
Mm-hmm.
that bar is still for sale.
Yes. Maybe we can talk them down.
Yeah. I have lottery tickets in my drawer right now.
I will begin practicing my roundhouse kick so I can be like roadhouse.
Yes.
Just every time somebody's like, "Hey, you spilled my
Yep.
beer."
Yep.
Oh, roadhouse.
Yep. I am now on communication level. Comment, talking back and forth level with the person that owns the only gas station in that town. And I am on communication level with one of the people that runs the VFW in that town. Yeah, so I already have inroads into that town. Just need the money.
We just need to figure out how to get together. How much did they want for it?
240 something.
Like 240 something. Realistically, we probably need about $1 million to be able to make it operate and run. And
yeah, I have lottery tickets. We'll be fine.
if I had won the last big Powerball, like I would have been like, all right, we're doing this. Everybody get ready to pack your bags.
Oh, we'd be doing this. We'd be doing this in person right now in the bar.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we're doing this, man.
Yeah.
This is happening.
Yep. No, and there's a living space inside that bar too, by the way. There's a residential apartment inside that bar.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. We need like $1 million because we need to be able to get some land around it so that we can build some additional housing.
Yeah. Well, the entire town's only like 214 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need that's what I'm saying though, is like we need to build some additional housing, and then that way we can start bringing people out, right? And then we take over the entire town as anarchists, and it becomes a completely anarchist town.
Yes. Yes. End of the road. Yes. It's literally the end of the road. Literally the end of the road.
The road ends in the town.
The highway, the 2-lane highway ends at the town limit, and then there's no highway beyond the town. There's no the roads leading out of town are dirt, and have like national forest designations.
So I need to go back to a truck, which is also why we need more than $1 million, because I need to be able to get a good truck. Hey, there's a place here in the Midwest. Actually, I think it's in Wisconsin. That makes they buy old Humvees.
Used vehicle prices are crashing right now because everyone's broke and not buying them.
They're about to go back up because don't forget, in a couple of years, that kill switch law.
Yes. All right, let's get really angry. You want to get really angry?
Sure. I love being angry. That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
Oh no. This is angry. This is angry. This is Andrew's going to get red angry just by the end of the first paragraph. Because I'm not going to read you the headline. Okay. Ready? Okay. In August, a Missouri family's dog, Parker, wandered away from the family home during a violent storm. When the neighbor who found the dog called the police for help, instead of returning Parker to his family, an officer shot him and threw the body in a ditch.
The family dog.
Yes.
Who's obviously friendly. Neighbor finds him. Hey, could you take this dog back to its owners? Blam.
And threw it in a ditch. Yes. According to a lawsuit filed this week by Parker's owners, Talia and Brian Pennington, Stoddard County, Missouri, police officer Roger Steele arrived at Hillary Mayberry's home after she called the sheriff's office looking for assistance with Parker. Mayberry had posted on Facebook about the dog. However, instead of helping Mayberry find Parker's owners or even taking her to a nearby shelter, Seal took the dog to a nearby wooded area and shot him. The lawsuit claims that Parker did not immediately die after being shot. Instead, Seal waited 8 minutes before firing a second shot, which killed him. Seal then disposed of Parker's body by throwing it in a ditch. The suit argues that there was no legal justification for Seal to kill Parker, which Stoddard County has a written policy allowing officers to shoot, quote, a dangerous, diseased, or incapacitated animal. Parker was perfectly healthy and non-aggressive.
Yeah, because he followed him out to the fucking woods. He took him to the woods. The dog happily followed him out there.
Instead,
and went, okay, where are we going, dear human? And then this psychopathic, murderous motherfucker shoots the dog, watches it suffer for nearly 10 minutes before he finally puts it out of its misery. This man is a fucking serial killer waiting to happen.
Instead, the complaint writes that Seal, quote, committed the felony of animal abuse when he shot the dog without provocation and allowed him to lay, quote, suffering for 8 minutes after he was shot the first time before defendant Seal shot Parker a second time, killing him. Yes.
There are things that should be done here. There are things that are very justifiable that should be done here. And I'm going to point out again, this is literally serial killer behavior. This man is a fucking psychopath who cannot be trusted to continue to breathe or be free. Oh, look at that poor dog. How do you...
Yes.
I'm really pissed off that the documentary Puppy Side never happened.
Yes.
Because that should have happened. That should have been a thing that got made. The fuck, Blumhouse? Why didn't you pick it up? But...
the Penningtons are suing for $5 million as well as, quote, to make sure that nobody else's dog is executed in a remote area and thrown into a ditch by people who are funded with our taxpayer dollars. No criminal charges have been filed, though Oliver says she believes they're warranted. The lawsuit says that the deputy's behavior that day constituted felony animal abuse. So,
somebody check on his wife. Is she okay?
yes.
Does she feel safe at home? Because I'm going to take a wild guess that the answer is no.
8 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is... And then you still have people, right, marching around with their thin blue line flags and, I got your thanks, back to blue. You still have those people that think police can be trusted ever.
Oh, by the way, it was all caught on body camera.
Which is how they know it was 8 minutes.
Yes.
That he sat there and he just watched it suffer.
Yes.
Thankfully, he turned his body camera off before he whacked it, because I'm sure that was how he was feeling after that, because he's a serial killer.
Let's see. Brian Pendleton reported being taken by a deputy to the area of Otter Slough, where Parker's body had been disposed of to recover the animal. Yes. So they called the cops, and let's see. 2 videos were released of Deputy Roger Seal making 2 separate phone calls. Oliver reported in court documents. One was an unknown number. The other was the contact listed as Chief Deputy Andy Holden. No video of the murder of Parker was provided, and the defendants have since refused to produce said video.
Of course.
Yes, they refused to release additional footage, saying that it was, quote, due to active investigations.
Mm-hmm. Because it shows that he probably laughed about it.
Yes, so. Whew, that is, yeah. Shot the dog and tossed it in a ditch.
It was a remote area. People disappear in remote areas all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
there are plenty of police officers who are quietly depressed and things. I mean, who knows what they might decide to do? And I mean, how could you prove that wasn't what happened?
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't wearing my body camera.
Oops.
Yep. Oh, Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969. I'm just saying, maybe Florence, Oregon, the Oregon Highway Division, maybe they had something right. You know,
carry around a half ton of dynamite.
I'm just saying, what's the point in having it if you're not going to use it, right?
Yeah, why have a half ton of dynamite if you don't get to blow something up? And again, you put a half ton of dynamite in a house and you've just deleted the house from existence.
Deleted the house and the house next door and the house across the street.
You've deleted half a city block.
Half the neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna do some things.
Yes. That's yeah, we don't want to get too much into that. For Hogzilla, yeah, Hogzilla was massive. What was that? I mean, that pig was what, 600 pounds?
There's been a few of them that have been labeled Hogzilla.
Oh, the Russian boars are starting to come across the northern border now, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, they had some in northern Montana. There were some reports of some, and then in Maine there were reports of some.
Who wants bacon? I want bacon.
That's a massive amount of bacon.
Yes.
Yes.
And you spice it right, man. Wild boar is so freaking good. Like, I will happily mow down 300 wild boar. Like,
why do you need a 30-round magazine? Have you seen the size of those fucking things?
Yeah, have you seen them and how many of them there are?
Yeah, we have them here now. Wild pigs that are starting to tear up farmland. And the state finally put a bounty on Nutra. Nutra's it's a little rodent that likes to burrow into holes in the levees.
Not little nutria are the largest or second largest rodent in the world.
They're big sons of bitches.
Think like a small pig, but with rodent teeth.
Yes, nutria. They're making holes in all of our levees now.
Yeah, because that's what they do. If you want to picture what a nutria looks like a nutria look a lot like capybara. So if you've ever seen a capybara, very similar.
Yeah, like an angry capybara. Like
they do taste delicious.
What's the saying? All balance to the force. Capybara, nutria.
Yeah, yeah. Nutria are not a joke either. Rodent teeth are sharp. Yep. Do not pet.
Invasive species. Speaking of the invasive species, they want to shoot Noriega's hippos now.
Or you mean
not Noriega, Pablo Escobar.
Yeah, Escobar's. Well, I mean, they are breeding out of control and starting to take over a large amount of waterways, and they're one of the most dangerous animals in the world, in addition to being an invasive species in Colombia. So, yeah, you should probably do that. You probably should have done that. Like
the thing was, like there's a whole tourist thing about them now surrounding them, right? There's with the lore and everything. But now they're getting to the point where they're starting to take over, and there was talks of deporting some of them, to Africa, but that would just kill the animal. And then there was also they wanted to give them birth control, like feed them whatever with birth control in it, or make them sterile. But now they're like, no, we're gonna
just kill them.
We're gonna have to shoot them. Yeah.
You guys should have done that 25 years ago. Why did you wait so long?
Well, they didn't have half a ton of dynamite, did they?
Oh, my God. They're literally one of the most dangerous animals in the world. They're an incredibly invasive species that is going to propagate. They are going to destroy the ecosystems. Kill them.
Yes.
You morons. And they're not cute. I realize a baby hippo may be very, very adorable with all of its rolls and its short little nose and everything else. An adult hippo will swallow a human being whole.
They kill more people per year than alligators.
They're like literally one of the top 3 most dangerous animals on planet Earth. They're incredibly dangerous. About the only thing they ever run from, right? The only thing they ever run from are honey badgers
and bigger hippos.
and bigger hippos.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know why? Because if a lion comes at them, they eat it.
Yes.
And they're not even carnivorous. They just do it because they're dicks.
One of my favorite memes is the it shows like the hippo skull, right? And it says the animal, right? And then it shows the animal rendering according to the skull. And it's some fucking predator looking psycho.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just a hippo.
No, it's a hippo, and trust me, they are horrifying.
Yes.
They're the way their mouths open. Good Lord. We have so many recorded deaths by hippo. We, in fact, one of the largest death counts from a ship sinking, like a ferry in Africa, is from hippos.
Hippos cause an estimated 500 deaths annually, as compared to only 22 for lions.
Don't be scared of lions. You can intimidate a lion. A lion will back down. You can't intimidate a hippo.
That is according to discoverywildlife.com, by the way.
They're terrifying. I've been up close and personal with hippos in the wild, and let me tell you, they are scary big.
Yes. Yeah, so number 1 is the hippopotamus, 500 deaths per year. Elephants, approximately 500 deaths per year. Saltwater crocodile, 1,000 deaths per year.
Yeah, saltwater crocodiles are really, really dangerous. Like alligators,
roundworms, 2,500. Yay!
Yay! Snails. Actually, there's a species of snail that is responsible for enormous numbers of deaths every year in Africa.
An assassin? What the fuck is an assassin bug?
Oh, assassin bugs are scary. They're only like this big.
A tropical parasitic disease that kills approximately 10,000 people per year.
Mm-hmm. Scary things. But yeah, there's the giant African snail, freshwater snail.
Freshwater snails, 200,000 deaths per year.
Yes, it is one of the most dangerous animals on planet Earth. I know people who keep them as pets. They themselves are not actually dangerous. So it's important to note that the snails themselves are not dangerous. Mm-hmm. It's that they carry a specific species of parasite.
Yes.
That they then infect you with when they touch you, and then that kills you.
Let's see. Humans are number 9 on the list at 431,000 deaths per year. That's kill each other 4,000 a year. And then mosquitoes are obviously number 1 at a million.
Yep. Yeah, skeeters.
Fox skeeters.
Well, I live in Wisconsin. They're one of our state birds. Like, yeah. We get, if you head into the Northwoods in like July, you don't even hear mosquitoes as they're like
they got himmies.
You see like other mosquitoes with like lighted cones bringing them in.
Yeah.
They're big. They
mosquitoes are sucking blood out of other mosquitoes if they're sucking blood out of you.
Yeah, it's like they land on you, go and you turn into a raisin.
Yay!
Yeah, they're fucking mosquitoes. But yeah, hippos anyway. Hippos are real dangerous. They're really, really dangerous.
I'm saying we can just import hippos to DC, and that might help solve some of the carjacking issues. I don't know how, but I think it would be hilarious.
Get out of the car. Oh, okay, but counterpoint, hit a button, hippo pops out of your trunk. Ah! Dude, they can run like 20 miles an hour.
Yes, I know.
Good luck outrunning it. Enjoy, buddy.
Yeah. All you hear is that you hear a high point shooting at a charging hippo.
Yeah, and they have so much fat and blubber. Like their skin is so tough. Like High Point's probably not gonna do it.
Yeah, they're probably a two case of dynamite animal.
They're two. That will definitely take care of them, but it's the funny thing about hippos too. Just as long as we're on the subject, they can't swim.
That's why you drive trucks, Buckshot.
Yeah,
The hell kind of car can
trucks,
fit a hippo in the
obviously.
trunk? Trucks.
It's because I'm driving a Ram 3500. That's why I have a hippo in the back. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, so fun fact, hippos can't swim. They spend the majority of their lives in the water. They can't swim. In order to cross bodies of water, they simply sink to the bottom
And run
and
across
push
bottom,
off and come back up to the top. They bob. They don't, in fact, swim. I learned that and went, why does an animal that can't swim spend the majority of its life in the water? That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
Oh. Humans can't fly, yet they still make airplanes.
I mean, that's true. That is true. But like that's not our primary habitat. Whereas for a hippo, its primary habitat is actually water and they can't swim.
Let's see. All right, let's go with James Freed, the manager of the lakeside city in Michigan called Port Huron, remembers the first time if the follower posted a comment on his Facebook page. There were no words, just 3 weird smiley faces. Creepy, Freed recalled when I saw the smiley faces, but I knew who it was. The poster Freed knew was Kevin Lidke, whom the local newspaper described as a, quote, a social media figure. Lidke describes himself as an advocate who quote, goes after public officials he believes are, quote, unethical and dishonest. After Lidke criticized Freed's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic in another comment, Freed had had enough. Also, and Freed blocked Lidke from his Facebook page. The decision now sits at the center of a case before the Supreme Court with potentially enormous consequences on how government officials, from the President of the United States to school custodians, interact with the public online. The dispute between the 2 men on the shore of Lake Huron could lead to a ruling that set the terms for how voters nationwide communicate with and criticize public officials on social media. The smiling emojis weren't creepy, Lidke said. They were activism and they were protected by the First Amendment. Quote, that's just him trying to make me look bad, Lidke said. Everything I'm doing is basically to give a voice to the people who don't have one. Right. We had this here in California with I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. Down there in San Diego, he got blocked by the sheriff's office official Facebook page. And they took that to court and he won, and the sheriff's office had to pay him $1 or $20. I think it was $20. And he donated the $20 to charity. And then the sheriff's office deleted their social media.
Rather than even deal with him, they just delete it. Like, that is a badge of fucking pride right there. Yes. I made the sheriff's office delete their social media.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a big thing. Like, if you remember back during the Trump administration, this was a big thing because Donald Trump being so active on social media, he also blocked people, and that became a very controversial thing. The fact that he'd done that.
Yes. I mean, if you're a government official, right? If this is your official social media, right? Not your personal social media. That's what became the real issue with the Donald Trump thing. If it's a official government social media page, right, then banning someone is a violation of the First Amendment. But like with the Trump thing, there was an argument as to whether his personal was an official government page. Because he was using it as an official government page.
Yeah.
So there's a question there on the ethics of that.
Right. And that became like a pretty big thing that, you know, like can public officials block people? And is that them hindering free speech if they block it? And some of it weirdly hinges on the fact that Zuckerberg, when he was before Congress, argued that Facebook was a public forum and
Yes.
therefore they were not responsible for content on it. However,
Mhm.
he also then proceeded to argue that it was a publisher and therefore they could control what content they had on it, which are two diametrically opposed things in
Yes.
law. And Congress never really resolved that entirely, which they really should have, but
The Supreme Court will hear oral arguments in the case, and another raising the same question. Quote, civil dialogue increasingly takes place on social media, but it's a context where the boundaries between the personal and what's official are much blurrier. That's Evelyn Danforth Scott, staff attorney for the ACLU, who was siding with Lin Key. That's the activist in the case. Quote, getting this distinction right is critical. It ensures that government officials cannot evade constitutional limits like the First Amendment and equal protection clauses by claiming to be acting in their personal capacity. Let's see. Freed, that's the politician. Freed created a Facebook page in college sometime before 2008, and over the years posted about the sort of humdrum of everyday life. Billions of people share on the site, raccoons in his garbage, his dog's birthday pictures of family. About a decade ago, Fred reached the site's 5,000 friend limit and converted his account to a public page. No other cities had access to it, and he posted on the site on his own time. Freed retains Twitter and Instagram accounts that are set to private. Quote, if I thought that this was a public page, not private, I would never have posted pictures, photos of my kids. I should never have posted what I ate for dinner, you know? I believe more than 80% of my posts are family stuff.
yeah, but you converted it to a public page.
Yes.
So the fact that you're an idiot does not impact
Yes.
your actions actually.
But it wasn't all family stuff. Sometimes Freed reposted press releases from the city fire department. He occasionally answered constituent questions about city services. The post that really bothered Linke went up in the early days of the pandemic, a picture of Freed and the major ordering takeout from a local restaurant. Quote, it was a very nice little cafe, but a little bit more expensive. When everyone in the community is trying to figure out how they're going to pay for their mortgage and put food on the table, it just rubbed me the wrong way. That's according to Linke. The question for the Supreme Court is whether public officials who have their own social media presence are acting at their official capacity when they post to those sites. If a majority of the justices decide that Freed's Facebook page was part of the government work, that would trigger the next question, likely to be decided by a lower court. At a time when many Americans interact with public officials online, did blocking Linke violate the First Amendment?
I think it does at that point.
Yeah, if you're using it in the official capacity, right? If it's a public page, right? If it's a politician's public page, right? You know, it's if you're answering things in the official capacity as a member of the government, well, then yeah. Which is just another reason you and I will never ever run for government.
Oh, I mean, are you kidding me? Like the idea of me running for, like, because I almost did, right, years ago. I almost did. That's part of what led me to my journey of anarchy and everything. But the idea of either one of us, anyone who even watches this show, ever being even remotely electable is hysterical. Like it's because it's a big, like a big you know, like popularity contest when you run, and ain't no way that anarchists are going to be popular with the voting public.
No, neither is the QAnon Shaman.
Well, I mean, he might be.
He's like just this side more sane than like Vermin Supreme. But even Vermin Supreme wouldn't agree with him because of the January 6th thing.
Oh yeah, Vermin's pretty left.
Yes. I mean, Vermin Supreme is even more left than most leftists.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's I like the guy. He's pretty funny. He offered to run for president with a friend of mine as his VP. It was fun. But the guy is
you see Trump is talking about having Tucker Carlson run as his VP.
That would The memes that are possible out of that are so exciting. I cannot possibly
the
support this more.
collective just
Oh my god, yeah, dude.
Incredible. Yeah,
it would be amazing.
The memes would be fantastic. Don't get me wrong, the memes would be absolutely incredible.
There's, I mean, I think back to an old stand-up routine that I watched where a guy, I mean, and it is old and I'm going to date myself here, but where he said, you know, he's like, as an American who has to live here, the fact that Dan Quayle isn't running anymore for president is good news. But the fact that he's no longer in public office as a comedian, I weep.
Yes. Dan Quayle, good old California politics for you.
Bush Senior, done by that was Dana Carvey, right? That did Bush with Dan Quayle, where
I think so,
Dan was like the little kid, and he's like, "There you go, Danny, buddy." Oh, those were classic.
Those were good times. But yeah, like you said, it's not the first time the question has been raised by the Supreme Court. 3 years ago, former President Donald Trump brought a similar case to the justices. Trump invited the court fight in 2017 by blocking users on his account on Twitter. 7 users went to court charging Trump with seeking to, quote, suppress dissent. A federal appeals court in New York sided against Trump in 2019, but the Supreme Court said in 2021 that the case was moot. Because Trump had by then left the White House and tossed the lower court's decision aside. Oh, yes.
Yeah. The
sixth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Cincinnati sided with Freed, that's the politician, last year, ruling his Facebook page was, quote, personal. President Joe Biden's administration also backs Freed in a brief filed by the Justice Department. But another similar case in the Supreme Court will be heard involving 2 members of the school board in California. San Francisco-based 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided with the voters. The school board members created a public forum with their social media pages. The court ruled, and they violated the First Amendment by blocking parents from posting criticism of the school system on the pages.
Yeah, so, you don't get to create a public forum to discuss school matters, and then when people start being critical, just block people.
Yes. Yeah, remember that whole thing when people were like, "Oh, it's my property," right? Talking about social media pages, my property. No, it was never, ever yours.
It's a public forum. This is at this point, because of the society that we live in, effectively. And I have a feeling the Supreme Court's going to rule this as well. Effectively, the social media pages and things are public forums, and they're the same as a public square. So by banning somebody from talking in that public square, you are effectively banning them from coming out into a public square, into an open forum to discuss things, which is a blatant violation of the First Amendment. You're not allowed to do that as a government official.
Yep. I just want to post pictures of myself wearing a sandwich board that says the end is near on politicians' Facebook pages.
Like do a recreation of The Simpsons ringing the bell, the end is near.
Yes.
You got to recreate it perfectly, though. White T-shirt, blue jeans.
Yeah.
Ringing the bell.
Yeah. The end is near.
And just in response to every single post.
Yes.
The end is near.
Yes.
The end is near.
Yeah, just spam the shit out of there.
I mean, I've seen a bunch of people do that with like politicians and celebrities with like gospel messages. And I'm like, really? You think that's going to work? Do you think that's going to work? And that's not going to just make everybody just be like, screw you.
Yes. Yes. All right. Let's get on this last one. Appeals court says ATF exceeded authority with the ghost gun rule.
Woo!
A federal appeals court struck down the Biden administration's limits on so-called ghost guns, affirming a lower court's ruling Friday that the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives didn't have the proper authority to change the rules.
You see
The
how happy
ATF,
the ghost is? Look at how happy the ghost is.
the ghost is happy. The ATF ruled. Let's see. Wait. Where's my patch? It is. Oh, it's all the way up there. I can't reach it. But it's Poppins patches. Says the right to a symbol. The ATF rule specified the definition of firearm and other terms in order to regulate the production and distribution of gun parts and kits that could easily be assembled by a consumer at home, avoiding regulation and requirements for serial numbers. They are not easily at all.
And what's really important here about this is that the Fifth Circuit unanimously threw this out. Unanimously. There was no dissenting opinion because they redefined what constituted a firearm, which is a thing that is already defined in the law.
Buckshot No, it says it is still down for maintenance.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do think it's still down. I haven't heard from him in a while. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Let's see. Judge Kurt Engelhart led the Fifth Circuit in a unanimous decision throwing out the ATF rule. Quote, the agency rule at issue here flouts clear statutory text and exceeds the legislatively imposed limits on agency authority in the name of public policy. That gives me huge Chevron deference goosebumps.
It is a threat, a direct threat to Chevron as a whole.
Yes. I'm going to read that quote again. It says, the agency rule at issue here flouts clear statutory text and exceeds the legislatively imposed limits on agency authority in the name of public policy.
Oh, yeah, this is great. This next part, the ATF, in promulgating its final rule, attempted to take on the mantle of Congress to do something with the respect to gun control. But it is not the province of an executive agency to write laws for our nation. That vital duty, for better or for worse, lies solely with the legislature.
Oh, man.
Oh, and again, remember that's why I pointed out is that is the heart of the issue, right? Is that the ATF attempted with its new rule to entirely redefine a thing that is very specifically defined in the law.
Yes. A very specific thing that it did not have the legal authority written by the charter of the ATF to do. Right? It did not have the ATF does not have any legislative authority at all. Period. Nada. Zip zero.
Yeah, and the Chevron deference is very, very clear, right? Chevron deference specifically said when the law is ambiguous, it is then up to the enforcing agencies to interpret that law as they see fit, right? Yes. That is what Chevron deference is. Now, where this becomes an issue is that the ATF constantly tries to redefine terms that are specifically defined in the NFA and GCA, very specifically defined. And it keeps trying to redefine those, which does not fall under Chevron deference because those definitions are codified in the law. And fun fact, to be a receiver, it needs to contain a chamber, a hammer, and a firing mechanism. Guess what gun does not have a piece that contains all three of those things?
Yes. the AR platform. Which is why we covered last year or year before last a case out of Southern California where a guy was hosting essentially what amounts to like 80% lower parties, where people would purchase 80% lowers and they would show up and then they would use the machines that are readily available at this party to mill out or to quote finish the AR lower. Right? They charged this guy with manufacturing firearms, and the defense said, "Hey, we're challenging the definition of a firearm in regards to this case." And the ATF balked and said, charges dismissed.
Yep, and just let him go.
Yes, and just let him go.
Because as soon as he proved in court that the AR does not have a receiver as defined by the law, the AR no longer has a part that is necessary to be serialized, nor can be regulated.
Yep.
And at that point, mail order full builds, baby.
I can't wait. Supreme Court has allowed the ATF to rule stay in place following the lower court ruling and is likely to do so again after the appeals ruling Friday. The Justice Department is expected to appeal the decision of the Supreme Court for final determination. Oh, God, I can't wait, especially in light of the Bruin ruling. And they did use the Supreme Court did last year neuter a little bit the Clean Water Act by citing Chevron. Right. So between those two things.
Yeah, Chevron's ruling. Remember, Chevron was the court was intentionally extremely narrow in what it said was allowed and specified.
Yes.
That it only applies, that idea only applies when the law does not explicitly say the definition. That is the only time. They were very specific about that.
Yes.
And the thing is, the ATF has been running rampant, just redefining things that are defined in law at will.
All right. Hold on to yourself.
This next line is so
in
great.
A concurring opinion, Judge Andrew Oldman said the ATF's rule could be interpreted to be, quote, limitless. Quote, it purports to regulate any piece of metal or plastic that has been machined beyond its primordial state for fear that it might one day be turned into a gun frame, and a gun receiver. And it doesn't stop regulating that metal or plastic until it is melted back down to ooze.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, my goodness.
Exactly. Fucking exactly. To try to regulate home-built firearms, which is what they're trying to do, which the Supreme Court has previously ruled would be unenforceable. Right?
It's
completely unenforceable.
Legal under the GCA, right?
Well, it's not even about it being, it's not explicitly legalized. What it is that they ruled that the Supreme Court ruled that under the Second Amendment, you are required to be able to make your own firearms, and that the government under the Second Amendment cannot possibly regulate, is not allowed to regulate home building of firearms. It is only allowed to regulate commerce, and therefore firearms that are built to be sold. That is the only thing that it can regulate. And they said, furthermore, in that case, if you tried, because again, this is home built from parts that people can just find lying around and stuff they can just make, it would be unenforceable anyway.
Come on, it's a well-known story that a guy literally made an AR lower by melting down aluminum cans. Right? We all know that story.
Yeah.
No,
he melted down aluminum cans, and it's the Ludi, right? The Ludi Home Expedient Homemade Firearms, which is a book that is so freaking expensive now, it boggles the mind.
It's available on Telegram for free in PDF.
Yeah. P.A. Ludi, he spent several years.
Don't ask me how to find it.
Yeah, P.A. Ludi spent several years in prison in the UK for that book. But especially when it started turning up in all kinds of raids of IRA homes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the thing is like the 3D printing revolution, right? Rapid prototyping, home milling machines, things like that, absolutely left the ATF scared shitless because they can't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
they basically just passed a rule.
You know what they're doing now? New York is trying. New York. There's recently been a bill submitted in New York that you would have to go through a background check to buy a 3D printer. Yes.
How much of a 3D printer?
Yes.
Because I can build a 3D printer.
You can, yes, you can.
So how many parts? Which part of the 3D printer are you regulating?
Yes.
Since I can build it myself, which part are you regulating?
And again, those files are readily available. They're all over the internet. You can find them on Telegram.
See, that's the thing, and this is where 3D printing
Not only that, but
gun control.
there are videos on YouTube. There are videos on YouTube of people taking 2-liter soda bottles, stripping them down, and using a razor to cut them into thin ribbons, and using that to print things.
Yep, turning that into an extruded plastic material that you can then use to print. Yeah, and that's the thing is like, so the issue is like that's the thing, and that's what terrifies the ATF and why they tried to make their declared rule so broad is they realized that there is no way, exactly what the Supreme Court had already ruled about homemade firearms, right? There is no way you could possibly regulate it when anything up to and including just a thick enough piece of wood could be engineered to fire a round. There is no possible way you could ever regulate homemade firearms.
Bump fire shotguns are a thing. They're easy to make. You can make one for less than $10 in hardware.
Yeah,
and
slam fire shotgun.
Slam fire shotguns.
They're that one, the woman's home or ladies' home companion made in South Africa. One of the probably the world's worst shotgun that was mass produced is literally a pipe with a handle and another pipe with a handle, and you go thunk and it goes bang. That's the whole fucking gun.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes.
And it's a shotgun. Like that's the thing though, is like what terrifies the ATF, right, about 3D printing firearms is that not only does it mean that I can 3D print the components that aren't pressure bearing, and the components that are pressure bearing are innocuous, right? They're pieces of pipe. They're a chunk of metal that I can mill out myself, right? They're super easy to get. So they go, well, we'll regulate just basically anything that is a material that you can make things with. And that's not a thing that they can do, which is what the court pointed out. Like you don't get to do that. That's not a thing. So, but on top of that, their rule also basically declared having anything that you can make things from as constructive possession of a firearm. Oh, you own things? You have constructive possession of a firearm. That was basically what it said.
Yep. So to answer Buckshot right here, I will never tell you not to do that, but I will tell you that if you take that upon yourself, shut the fuck up about it.
Strictly speaking,
yes,
you are legally allowed to do that if you pay the proper taxes. However, in order to be allowed to pay the proper taxes, you need to apply for the proper licensing to pay taxes.
Yes.
And that is the mental gymnastics that the NFA and GCA operate in.
Yes.
Is it's not regulating your Second Amendment rights because no, we're not saying you can't do those things. Like the Hughes Amendment, right? The Hughes Amendment operates in that area where, well, we're not saying you can't do those things. What we're saying is we're just not going to allow you to continue to register the things. That's all this law says, is that you can't. and the other law only says that you have to register them. So see, neither law in and of itself is unconstitutional. These are the mental gymnastics that they do. If anyone actually concertedly fought against it, you might win, but chances are any case that you tried to come up with that would lead you to the Supreme Court to argue that, the ATF would be the ones you'd be fighting, and they would drop the case before it ever started getting into court, because they'd see your arguments, realize what you winning would mean and that you were going to win, and then just drop it.
Yes. So, I don't know. I think that was a good one to finish on.
Yeah. I think the moral of the story is, like, realistically, is that, one, I mean, you can't entirely depend on courts, but every so often, a government agency does something so egregious that even the courts can't admit.
Yes.
Like, they have to be like, no.
There was a bill recently just submitted, a bipartisan bill, by the way, bipartisan bill in the House that would speed up suppressor checks to 90 days. So,
because it's really hard to argue with it, because you're literally saying, like, you should still be doing the background checks, just let's require that they actually respond to people. And even Democrats can't argue with that. Like, you're still saying, no, we want background checks. It's just like, let's make this faster.
Safety device. No.
And it's ridiculous because, again, remember, in the United States, suppressors are regulated, but almost no other country. And the only reason they're regulated in the United States is because they were scared of communist assassins in the 1920s. A thing that never happened.
Yeah, the other day was the anniversary of the first Palmer raid. So, if you don't know the Palmer raids, look that up. Yes. All right, let's throw some links and get out of here.
If you want to care for your beard like a Viking, like I do, go to thebeardstruggle.com. Use code InkedAnarchist15. You get 15% off of your order. They have all sorts of new stuff. They're constantly adding new stuff. Definitely check them out. Use the code, save yourself some money, and get some cool stuff. I'm hoping personally that I get the beard straightener for Christmas, because I would really like one. Also, check out, where is it? Hold on, pointing the finger. It's mirrored. There we go. Check out Reaper brand apparel. They're a super cool brand. They have a great message, awesome designs. They keep coming out with new ones. They just released a bunch of new ones. They're super, super awesome. And check out their Instagram, watch their videos and stuff. Super great messages. And they support the channel, so they're super awesome. Also, we are an affiliate of Lions Not Sheep. I'm a huge fan of their Free Man t-shirt. And they have all sorts of other really, really cool stuff. If you have not checked them out, you should probably check them out. And there's a discount code in our link tree. Check it out so that you can save yourself money on it. We are sponsored by RK Spookware. However, he's been AWOL for a while.
Says the site's down for maintenance, so who knows?
Who knows? I've heard rumors that maybe something happened. I don't know. But if it ever comes back up, use the link. It's super great. Coffee brand coffee from Jeremy at the Quartering. Check that out. We got a bunch of sponsors. They're in the link tree. Yes.
Patches.
Dave at Poppins Patches. I just introduced two of my friends, my friend Ellie and her boyfriend Nate. Just definitely, well, boyfriend's a little strong, but anyway, the dude, Nate, are about to order from him because I just introduced them. They're looking for new patches, and they're like, these are such high quality. These are
Beard
so
Struggle
heavyweight.
Currently has a scent sampler kit. Eight small bottles of scents for $30. That's 25% off.
And they're great scents.
Yes.
They are great scents. Odin's Virtue is my personal favorite. However, there are a bunch of other ones. I just really, really like that one. They have conditioners. They have perfumes, colognes. Now
Odin's Virtue is not in the kit.
Really?
No.
It's a gold scent. So
Afhim's Forest, Veneer's Wisdom, Asier's Triumph, Surtur's Fury, Viking Storm, Asgardian's Secret, Valhalla's Gates, and Honer's Poem.
Viking Storm's really, really good as well. Big fan of that one. They have some great, like they really are really, really good guys. They're super great. Love that company. They're one of my fellow Beard Vikings because that's what we're all called is Beard Vikings. Is Hafthor Bjornsson, who unfortunately recently has suffered some tragedy. If you don't know what that is, check out his social media. But yeah, they're super great company. We have all sorts of cool companies, but definitely check out. Yeah, as I was saying before, Poppins patches. Just introduce people to them. Everybody says every time they get their hands on them, like these are really high quality patches. They're heavy and they're durable. They're really awesome. None of the dark colors bleed through the light colors, which is an ongoing problem with so many PVC patches.
Yes,
and you don't have that problem with his. They are super awesome. There's a lot of nostalgia to a lot of them and everything. Check him out.
A lot of
use code abolish ATF.
A lot of culture crossovers too, by the way.
Oh yeah, tons of them. This is the way, definitely a great one.
All right. Sad news. Tim Scott has dropped out of the Republican presidential race. How are we ever going to recover from this?
That is incredibly disappointing.
Yes, I don't know. Oh, maybe a whale will get beached, and then
and then we can blow it up. And
so
it's just make sure that you do not park your car too close to the beach lest somebody blow up a whale.
Within a quarter mile of the whale.
Because then you may wind up losing your car to a falling chunk of rotting whale.
Yes. And then you'll end up in the hospital and then you'll get vaccinated and then you won't be able to sell your sperm.
Which is just a terrible tragedy.
Just terrible tragedy. All right, you got anything else?
After that line, what can I possibly come up with? I got nothing, man.
No. All right. Me neither. Peace.